coffee and get this going live, and I'll go ahead and pull up our reading so as we will all be represented here. Let's see, what did I do? Oh, it's in another window. In another window, yeah. I'm always confused myself. All right, we'll just do it here. Why is that happening? Isn't that the question we always ask? Why is this happening? We can't get it in this window, we'll get it in another one. All right. So I'm bringing up our text, and I think, did we finish the separation and the atonement? Let's see.
Good morning, Lynn. We are on wholeness and spirit.
All right.
Wholeness and spirit.
Is that healing and wholeness?
No. Chapter 1, section 5.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will put that in the room, and I will have you pray us in, and then wait, this is not where I'm going. Why did they put me there? Okay, hang on. Here we go. Healing and wholeness. And
chapter 1, section 5.
Oh, here. I'm already on chapter 5. That's why. All right. There we go.
Wholeness and spirit. Yeah.
There we go. I got it. Finally, thank you, Iris. All right, I'm going to let you pray us in, and you can begin by reading. Someone can begin by reading the first paragraph, and we can talk about it. So, Iris, this mic is all yours to pray us.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. And good morning, all, and I'll pray us in. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me. I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Iris, why don't you start us off?
Oh, brilliant. Okay, I will. Thank you, Dove. Wholeness and spirit. So we are on chapter 1, section 5, and I will read the first paragraph. The miracle is much like the body, in that both are learning aids for facilitating a state in which they become unnecessary. When spirit's original state of direct communication is reached, neither the body nor the miracle serves any purpose. While you believe you are in a body, however, you can choose between loveless and miraculous channels of expression. You can make an empty shell, but you cannot express nothing at all. You can wait, delay, paralyze yourself, or reduce your creativity almost to nothing, but you cannot abolish it. You can destroy your medium of communication, but not your potential. You did not create yourself. End of paragraph. And I'm not sure I 100% like, but I was thinking about something. I was listening to a podcast by Keith Kavanaugh like yesterday and today. And I really got a new perspective on things, like a new perspective. And like it's with reference to like lesson 1. Nothing I see here means anything. And like I really felt, I would say like really free. Because I woke up this morning, it was like in very early hours, like maybe 3 or 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And I could just understand, like in my soul, I could understand that the world that I'm looking at, like the thoughts, everything, like people, persons, things, customs, nothing means anything. Like it's all like the interpretation. And spirit is in a state of grace forever. Like in this first paragraph, the miracle is much like the body in that both are learning aids for facilitating a state where they become unnecessary. So like, and that's really what everything is, like, I think I haven't understood lesson 1. Nothing I see here means anything. I think I haven't quite understood that. And correction of perception. So perception is not like what I'm looking at with my body's eyes. That's not perception. Perception is interpretation. And that's what like this lesson 1 is saying. And I'm sharing that because that's what I was thinking about, like all day today and yesterday, and like that it's the interpretation of itself. Nothing means anything. There's no meaning. It just is. Like it just is. Like I am, and there is like just I am. I'm not Iris. I'm just I am. And but like our troubles come when I think that I'm Iris, and I have like a million interpretations for things that aren't even original. They're just stuff I've learned along the way. So like it was very clear to me when I woke this morning, and then it kind of like disappeared again because like it seems like sight gets clouded like as like the day goes on. But I'll just hand over to the next brother that would like to share.
I just want to ask if anyone has any more thoughts on that paragraph or anything you want to share. Any questions?
Well, something came up to me, And that is in the opening sentence, the miracle is much like the body, and that both are learning aids for facilitating a state which has become necessary. When one becomes fully realized, fully transcends, then of course all of this is just projected thought images, a mirage, the illusion, and it doesn't have any meaning. And you look at it that way, and you all love anyway, so, and it can be that way, but it really doesn't have any effect on the power of being that we are, that God presence that we are. And so that's what resonated with me right away.
Yeah. Yeah. The world is like a classroom where we come to learn lessons. And at first, the body is part of learning lessons. Finally, you get to, I'm not a body, but you can still believe that you are a body, which will slow you down. And the miracle is also, it's almost like an artificial thing that we make to shift gears. So we're going from the gear of thinking that something outside is doing something to me to the gear where I am cause. I'm not an effect of what's outside of me. I am cause. And that straightens things out. So I'm not a victim anymore. I become powerful. And he tells you that the fact that you think that you're powerless is why all of your misery happens, all of your pains and suffering. And he tells you that in chapter 21, section 7, called The Last Unanswered Question. Can't you see that all of your misery comes from your strange belief that you are weak, powerless? So the miracle returns you to your true nature, powerful beyond all measure. Are there any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, Karen has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dov. I could totally relate to everything you just said. The world is a classroom. We are here to learn the lessons, and the body is a classroom. And this morning I wrote, changelessness is in everything I see because changelessness is in my mind. So the changelessness is the truth of who I am. And, it's helping me to really recognize and notice just exactly what you said, though, that my body, it's teaching me I'm the lesson that I'm learning. My body is teaching me that it's not real because it's changing all the time. And it's the biggest lesson I'm learning right now, because changelessness is in everything I see, because changelessness is in my mind. And I like what Iris shared too, because it is remembering that I am not this body. She said, I am not Iris. When I hear that, when I think of I am not Karen, that means I am not this body. And I think it's interesting in what he says in sentence 7. He says, you can destroy your medium of communication, but not your potential. So the medium of communication is the mind. So, with the power of decision that we have, we can, I guess what he's saying here is we can cover up, destroy, whatever word you want to use, by listening to the ego and believing it's real, and believing the thought system's real, and believing that this body is the truth of who I am. So the miracle is reminding me that, I can change my mind, and I have the capacity, I have the potential to create just like God. So thank you. And I'm very grateful.
Yeah, thank you for that, Karen. And yes, I mean, this is really, I mean, honestly, I'm hearing him saying something now that I really have not ever heard before, even though I've read this many, many times. And what I'm hearing is that you already are. I am already what I am. And today's lesson points that out. You are what you are now, and there is no past and there's no future. Now is the only time there is, and what we are is the whole Holy Son of God. You can make an empty shell, but you cannot express nothing at all. You can do all sorts of things, but you can't undo what you are or unmake what God made. But I love a paragraph or sentence 3. He says, while you believe you are in a body, however, you can choose between loveless and miraculous channels of expression. And so that is our choice, that at any time, all the time, any moment, any instant, I can choose the miracle, or I can choose to be angry or afraid or upset or vindictive, or I can choose all sorts of other things, but I can't undo what I am. I can't undo what God made. So only by choosing the miracle, choosing love, um, do I actually experience myself as I truly am. And choosing love consistently, that is all you will experience. And when you um, uh, teach only love, love is all you get. It's all you are. It's all you have. And so I find that to be quite illuminating. And Vishnu, please go ahead.
Hey, I was just as you were speaking, I was just thinking about that movie Groundhog Day with I can't remember his name, the guy that was in Lost in Translation. Anyway,
John Belushi.
Bill Murray.
the
Bill
the
Murray. Yeah.
Bill Murray.
Yeah, and how that sentence you just read about you can choose you can choose between loveless and miraculous channels. So it's just how every day the guy was like complaining and miserable, and then as the movie went along, he's just like, hey, I'm just gonna make the most of it and be as kind and loving as I can be, I guess. And that's what, just as you were speaking, that it just reminded me of that movie. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, that's a great example, Vishnu. And yes, exactly. He was given a chance over and over and over and over to choose again, choose again, choose again. And when he started choosing love and only chose love, then Groundhog Day was over and he got the girl, which is, I mean, that's kind of a funny way of looking at it. But he realized what love was, and it was symbolized in the movie by him waking up the next morning, and it was no longer Groundhog Day, and he was now in the real world, and he had had all the experiences of all the lives. And if you remember that movie, I mean, he committed suicide or tried to kill himself. He did all sorts of experiments. He did all sorts of things, and always kept coming back to this one life. And this one life is what we always come back to in some form or another. And it was until he started consistently choosing love, and he became the hero. He became the person who, changed the old lady's tires. He's the person who, caught the kid that was falling out of the tree. He was the person who, he did everything every day that was only love. And when he got to the place where everything he did all day was only love, he woke up from the dream. So great movie. I'm sure the author of that didn't have A Course in Miracles in mind, but it doesn't matter because everything is a great example of that. So thank you for reminding us of that. Does anybody else have any thoughts or comments about this first paragraph?
Just like to add one little thing, and that is when I looked at the God consciousness that we are is all love, all allowing, and allows the dream to be the way it is. and it has it arranged. There's only one intelligence that runs everything. And so the dream is there for our benefit if we see it that way. And it allows the mind to create, and because it's a creative instrument. And it stands back and loves it and allows it to do that, gives it the ability to do all of that. But in the end, when we realize that we are that transcendent being, then that whole mind thing becomes the show that it's watching and assisting divine, providing divine guidance, divine inspiration, divine protection. That's constant. And the more we get into the transcendent self and let go of all of our non-loving feelings and ideas and beliefs and stories and concepts, the more that harmony reveals itself.
Yes, yes, that is a beautiful way of expressing it, and absolutely is true. I mean, it's inevitable. It's inevitable when we choose only love, that love will be our experience. And I love that. Thank you, Rafi. Anyone else? And we'll move on to paragraph 2. And of course, we're talking about wholeness and spirit. So again, we're only in chapter 1 of this book. And we're already getting these amazing ideas, thoughts. Okay, so who would like to read paragraph 2?
I'll read it. Saturday's my day to listen, but I'll read it. Good morning, everybody, and send your love and light from my heart to yours. Paragraph 2, wholeness of spirit. The basic decision of the miracle-minded is not to wait on time any longer than is necessary. Time can waste as well as be wasted. The miracle worker, therefore, accepts the time control factor gladly. He recognizes that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from the time in which the Son and the Father are one. Equality does not imply equality now, when everyone recognizes that he has everything. Individual contributions to the sonship will no longer be necessary. Just listening.
Thank you, Rico. Does anyone have any comments or thoughts about what is Jesus saying to us here? Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, I always pay attention when he talks about delay, because it always reminds me of chapter 5 in Time and Eternity, when he says that delay can be tragic in time, but not in eternity. So he's telling us here, the basic decision of the miracle-minded is not to wait on time any longer than is necessary. Time can waste as well as be wasted. Healing occurs in the present moment. When I'm wasting time, when I'm delaying time, I'm thinking about the past. I'm worrying about the future. I'm not being in the moment right now. A lot of my grievances that I had held were, holding a grievance against someone, delaying time when the miracle could happen. I could have forgiven, but rather I chose to hold this grievance and have this long drawn out war going on, which was mostly in my mind, over really nothing, when I look back on it. So it's really recognizing that we can forgive now. Forgiveness, the miracle occurs right now. The Holy Spirit knows only now. So time can waste as well as be wasted. The miracle worker therefore accepts the time control factor gladly. It's accepting all things exactly as they are. He recognizes that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from time, in which the Son and the Father are one. That is reminding me that there is no time, that there is only now. This is the changelessness that he talks about, the holy instant, and that the collapse of time, every time that we forgive, he says we save 1,000 years, but we're shrinking the gap. We're shrinking the gap, you know. We're shrinking that space between each other and recognizing our equality now. Equality does not imply equality now, because equality is now. It's only now. So when he says that he recognized that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from time to timelessness, in which the Son and the Father are one, equality does not imply equality now. I'm not sure I understand that. Does anybody know what he means by that? Because to me, equality is now. So when everyone recognizes that he has everything, individual contributions to the sonship will no longer be necessary. When we recognize the truth of who we are, that I am as God created me, that I am not lacking, that I don't need anything outside of me. Like I used to believe I needed a special relationship to make me whole. I don't need that anymore because I am everything. But I don't understand, if anyone can tell me what he means by equality does not imply equality now. I really don't understand that.
All right. Dove had his hand up. I don't know if you still want to speak,
Yeah.
Dove.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. That's a very interesting thing I wanted to share on as well. Thank you so much, Karen, for pointing out that I look at the whole thing rather than just that one sentence. This is what he's saying. He recognizes that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from time. So how do you collapse time? Well, if you believe in a past or you believe in a future, time is very real for you. The only way to collapse time is to be here now. And now there is no time. Now is the eternal now, where things are always the same, changeless, same, one. So I think the synchronicity of it is very interesting. Let me just go on a little bit further. So he's talking about the Father and the Son are one. And we think that somehow the Father is over there and the Son is over here. And, that's like time and space. One day I'll be, somewhat like God, I hope. That's the ego looking into the future, thinking that something out there is going to make it happen, that one day it's going to wake up and say, oh my God, Father and Son are the same. It doesn't happen in the future. It happens now. We are one and the same. That's never changed. Now, the way we stay in time, we all know that expression, I'm not there yet. That's the ego making time very real. It's the ego thinking that, well, somebody's been doing this course for 40 years and I've only been doing it for 1 year. I ain't in the same place. No, now we are all in the same place. And then he goes on to say, when everyone recognizes, so it's a recognition. And there's that other famous sentence, enlightenment is not a change. It's a recognition. The recognition is it's here now. You don't have to do anything to be here now. There's no knowing, there's no understanding, to be here now. So it says, when everyone recognizes that he has everything, when do I have everything? Now. Not when I learned it. There's nothing to learn. Nothing. You think that God has to learn? Oh, well, I have to learn because I'm not there yet. I mean, the ego is insidious, literally insane. Turns everything upside down. When the Father and the Son are one, when is that? Now. And now. And now. Eternity is just endless nows. Eternity is just endless nows. So everything you have and everything you are and everything God is here now. There's no separation. I hope that's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, and also I think thank you for that, Dov. I mean that you couldn't have said anything more true than that. And I think what he's saying is right now equality doesn't imply equality now. When we talk about equality, we think, oh, we all have the same amount of money and we all have the same kind of body and we all have the same, we're thinking equality has something to do with what we're experiencing now, which we aren't experiencing equality right now. We're experiencing only inequality and people are guilty, people are innocent. We have all these ideas right now. We think these things, but when we actually recognize equality, we'll recognize that those things don't even exist, that we think are what are making us equal or unequal. They're not even existing. Anyway, Glorian had her hand up, and then Iris. So go ahead, Glorian, and then Iris, and then who else put their hand up just now? I'll have to look and see. Anyway, well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, thank you everyone for what you're sharing. It's perfect, and it all comes together in the same way. What I'm seeing here is the basic decision, the choice of the miracle-minded, those willing to accept the atonement for themselves, is not to wait on time any longer, time being that gap in eternity. Time can waste as well as be wasted. And that's like what Karen was discussing about the distractions and the temptations. We can buy into them or we can choose to look at it differently. The miracle worker, therefore, accepts the time control factor gladly. He recognizes that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release. He recognizes that as he moves into that space of the holy instant where he recognizes himself in the identity of spirit, that time collapses and brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from time, because everyone is his projection. So when the miracle worker accepts self-forgiveness, then there is no more projection. So it says here, in which the Son and the Father are one. Equality does not imply equality now, because there is no equality on the realm of separation, because that's exactly what it is division and specialness. Equality does not imply equality now on this realm. But when everyone recognizes the realization of oneness, that he has everything, eternal life, and accepts his reality as the Christ, individual contributions to the sonship will no longer be necessary, because there's only oneness, and that's what's projected. So it's actually talking about self-forgiveness and complete forgiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, Glorian. Yes, perfectly stated. So beautiful. Thank you. Iris has her hand up, and then Vishnu, and then Karen. So Iris, go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, that was actually I think Glorian shared it for me. It was that sentence that says that equality does not imply equality now, but like just in the division and specialness. So it's kind of like in the practical use of this, like as we walk about in quote the world that we live in, surrounded by people and places and all different things, scenarios, like the human will always be like, oh, this is different, that person is different, this thing is different, that person is like my mom, that person is my brother, that person is like, lives in jail, that person is good and bad, I'm good and bad, I'm bad, I'm good. Like all this is like very complicated. And like the reality is that we are spirit, like not two, three, four, five, 600 different types of spirit, just spirit, one spirit of God. And like the equality aspect comes in like the body as a learning device or a communication device, where if we are like in a group of people, everyone's the same. Like in this group, like everyone's the same. Like there are no degrees in what we offer to our brother. It is all exactly the same. It doesn't matter if like one person is like, in jail, another one is like Mother Teresa, another one is like an alcoholic. Everyone is exactly the same, and they are appearing as drag, and everyone is the one Christ. And but the equality does not imply equality now. Like it means to me that in that realm of spirit, like in the truth of what we are, equality is unnecessary, because like it's like forgiveness is unnecessary because everything is perfect. And but equality is an attitude that we take, like an attitude that I take as I walk around in this world, and I'll see like everyone as the same as me, having like the same ego and the same Holy Spirit. And our needs are completely the same. And handing back to Lynn.
Thank you for that, Iris. Yeah, that's a beautiful explanation as well. And yeah, we are not the same in form, but we are the same in reality, exactly as you said. Vishnu, did you want to say something?
I kind of and my initial comment was going to be the last sentence: individual contributions to the sonship will no longer be necessary. And I wanted some clarification on that, but then I read the beginning of the sentence, which is when everyone recognizes that he has everything, then individual contributions to the sonship will no longer be necessary. So
Yeah.
I guess when we all figure out that we're all one, then we're all one, so there's nothing to contribute. That's my understanding. But I guess maybe some clarification on that would be good.
Yeah, and then nothing is missing. Go ahead, Dov.
Yeah,
No.
it's we make individual contributions when we think that it's helpful to another person. That I say, listen, there's nothing outside of me. This is what you must understand. So it seems like, wow, you know, let me think on that. But when we all are in one mind, unified as one, my saying that is not me, doesn't mean anything because everyone knows there's nothing outside because there's nothing outside.
Perfect. Thank you, Dov. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you everyone for all your helpful sharing. And what really resonated with me, particularly, was when Glorian said that equality does not imply equality now, meaning on this realm. I wasn't, and that's what it says in Time and Eternity. It says exactly that in chapter 5. chapter 5, section 6, he says that delay does not matter in eternity, but it is tragic in time. You have elected to be in time rather than eternity, and therefore believe you are in time. And that's exactly what Dove said. We believe we are in time. When we believe we are in time, we're going to believe in, we're not going to believe equality, inequality. We're going to believe in the separation. So he says that, yet your election is both free and alterable. You do not belong in time. Your place is only in eternity, where God himself placed you forever. And that's what I hear everybody sharing about, spirit. We're in a state of grace forever. And he tells us, just because this is all just coming to me right now, in the altar of God, and I think it's chapter 2, section 3, he says that once we recognize and we remember, like he's saying here, we recognize that every collapse of time brings everyone closer to the ultimate release from time, in which the Son and the Father are one. Once we recognize the truth of who we are, we find, he says, we find it we're increasingly unable to tolerate delay, realizing that it only adds unnecessary pain. So the collapse of time for me works, because when I remember the truth, and I don't want that pain anymore. I know what it's like to delay time. I went through a hellish time, delaying forgiveness in a relationship that led to, and I'm not blaming myself at all, I'm just saying it led to ultimately my husband committing suicide. And a lot of it had to do with unforgiveness. When the miracle, and I'm not saying anything should be different, because I believe everything happened perfectly, but it was a learning device. It taught me not to hold grudges anymore, not to hold resentments, to let go of grievances, because why would I want to delay time today when I don't want or need that unnecessary pain? So this is what the miracle has taught me, and this is what the Course in Miracles has taught me, and this is what I am most grateful for, that I do not need to delay time today. Healing occurs now, forgiveness is now, and I'm just so grateful for that. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that, Karen. And yeah, I mean, that's today's lesson. Today's lesson is all about, the only time is now. Let me just, this instant is the only time there is. And the lesson says, I have conceived of time in such a way that I defeat my aim. If I elect to reach past time to timelessness, I must change my perception of what time is for. Time's purpose cannot be to keep the past and future one. The only interval in which I can be saved from time is now. For in this instant has forgiveness come to set me free. The birth of Christ is now, without a past or future. He has come to give his present blessing to the world, restoring it to timelessness and love. And love is ever present here and now. So this is it. The only time there is, and the only that's why, we can't think, oh, in a future life I'm gonna, ascend, or I'm gonna have an awakening experience or anything. Like, the only time you're gonna do that is now. And you are doing it now. You do it now and then you forget, and then you do it now and then you forget, and then you do it now and then you forget. But it doesn't mean that you're not doing it. It means that you're not consistent in your practice. And so that's what we're being asked for. Be consistent in your practice. Be honest in your practice. Dove.
Yeah, the secret word here is now. But I think it came to me why this sentence is kind of trippy, meaning that we trip over the words. The word that just stood out for me is the word imply. I see that he is respecting that his brother doesn't believe that he is the same as Jesus, the same as God, the same as Spirit. So the word imply means that right now you may not see that you and Jesus are one and the same. So that's what makes that sentence a little tricky, because if you take out the word imply, he's really saying, listen, I respect where you are, but also respect that I see that you and I are one. And he says that in other places in the course. And I think for those people who know that he says that in other places in the course, this sentence seems to be a little tricky because he uses the word imply.
Thank you for that, Dove. Yeah. Yeah, that word imply means I don't know for sure, and I'm just making an implication or making it apply. I imply that it applies. And that's for us to learn to become consistent in our practice and to become consistent in our knowing of the truth. So, does anybody else have anything to share about this paragraph?
I just want to say that every sharing was so powerful, everyone that shared today. And the way I see this whole thing, we can trip up on words continuously because words are just, they're just signposts, or they're just, they're nothing really. The words are necessary for us to get there, right? That's just the way Jesus made his course. But, the whole thing is that for me, I had to get to this place. Like I started this course years ago. And for the first 5 years, I would just say, I would use denial as like, something like I would deny the world because that was what I was told in the book to do. But I wasn't like where I am now. Like, in other words, that readiness had to come into this mind. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I would listen to a lot of seasoned teachers. For one thing, Dove, who was doing this so much longer than me, and my ego would get upset. Look at you, you can't, and he's right. There's no us. So the teaching is that we're all everything all the time and we're everywhere. But until that readiness comes in, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I don't know if anyone is going to listen to this. Yeah, words are symbols. That's what Gloria just read. That's the word I was looking for. And so, I guess for me, compassion is necessary. Now, true compassion is that's the higher self. When you're in the higher self, you have true compassion. But if you're still undoing, there could be some, like what I saw, like a lot of judgment by the ego, thinking, well, I'm not there yet. But that I'm not there yet is just the way the ego wants to see this all the way through. Like the ego will say it now. You're not there yet because blah, blah, blah. We're always there. It's always now. It's always right. But what I'm trying to, I guess, because I'm slow this morning, I think, just saying that that if you don't have that clear seeing yet, just keep going, and you will anyway, because you're being moved. There's nobody here that's doing things without the I am. And life is living us all the time, and we're always in the perfect place. I just tend to like to give compassion to people that are just starting out, because I don't know who will be listening to this. Because I really struggled years ago because I felt like I should be further along because I was reading it from the ego. This is something Ken Wapnick always stressed. This is a process. I mean, he had people that would say to him after they read it once that there was no them. And you see, that's where he felt like, that was bypassing. That's where bypassing comes in. Because you read it doesn't mean that you're not living it. And what I see in this group is we're all living it now. That's the difference, I guess. Anyway, thank you. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sharon. And yeah, it is helpful in thinking about it because we all knew, I knew and you knew, we all knew the truth and still do know the truth, never didn't know the truth. And yet, we were in denial. I for sure was, because, I didn't want to accept it. And, I thought, in the future, someday in the next lifetime. Well, I'm telling you now, there is none. There is no future. There's no next lifetime. You got it now. You already got it. Even if you just pick the book up, is because you already got it.
But you wouldn't be satisfied, right? Until you're living it. Like, what I'm trying to say is, yes, you're right. Everybody's always that. But, when I, at the beginning, like I would say, only God is real. That would be my mantra. But then something would happen and I still had so much confusion in the mind. And that's pretty much, where right now I feel like everything, when Lynn just shared what you just shared, like when we do see the allness that we are, when we see we are everything, everywhere, all the time, there's that knowing, right, from the self. And that knowing will show up as a readiness. But, I have to just bring this up simply because if it's not happening at the atomic level of the unconscious mind, there will be times that you get blindsided. And I still get blindsided. I'm still back in stories sometimes, but not as much, not even like a quarter as much as I was. I'm sorry, Lynn, I just went over your voice.
Oh, no. But that's right. But what you recognize now, which I recognize now, is that every single time I knew better, and I would stop myself at some point, but I would also let myself act out quite a bit and be angry and be afraid. And now I look at it and see how I was just playing a part. And
yes,
and I knew I was playing a part, but I didn't want to admit it. So and that's what I see from this end. From that end, I felt helpless. You're right. I felt like I was lost and helpless and wallowed around in a lot of self-pity. And now I look at it and I'm just laughing like, oh my God, how could anybody stand me? Anyway, I couldn't.
That's how I feel too, right? When I look back at what I was like, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
hey, I told my story over and over. Like I remember leaving Philly and thinking, nobody wants to listen to this anymore. Of course, it was
But I'm still
mine.
going to tell. Anyway, all right. Thank you, Sharon.
All righty. I have to leave at 12:30, but I just love this group. Everything was just,
Okay.
I listen over and over because that's how we learn. And I just love it. And what I did say and Dove brought it up is we live it when the readiness is completely there. And see, that's pretty much how I'm operating now. So I am excited and absolutely grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. I love when you share that. And I think it's so important to remember that because we are all exactly where we're supposed to be, perfect. It's perfect. It's all for our learning. It's all for our awakening. Everything is a lesson here. And however long it takes, it doesn't matter. There's no race here. And I love to be reminded that forgiveness is a process. This is a process. The process is the process, whatever it takes. It's different for everyone. And this is what I'm about to read now. It's about respect, which Dove mentioned, and that I love what Jesus says here because this has helped me so much in respecting where other people are. Because when I meet myself where I am and I respect where I am and not think I should be somewhere else, I can respect and meet others where they are. And this is in reference to what Dove shared about respect. And this is what it brought me to and reminded me of, where Jesus says, I will love you and honor you and maintain complete respect for what you have made, but I will not uphold it unless it is true. I will never forsake you any more than God will, but I must wait as long as you choose to forsake yourself. Because I wait in love and not in impatience, and you will surely ask me truly. I will come in response to a single, unequivocal call. This is in chapter 4, section 3, love without conflict. And I love that. And it's helped me so much in letting go of any kind of wishing things could be different or should be different, or somebody, if someone said something that I didn't agree with and I got angry about, there's nothing to get angry about. There's nothing to be upset about. What does that, like Ken would say, what does that have to do with me? Nothing. You know, it's respecting people where they're at. That's their path, their journey. And it helps me to meet me where I'm at. So I don't let it affect me anymore. I don't let it ruin my peace of mind, you know, anymore, because I respect it, I honor it, and I honor and I respect myself. And in that respect, ever you gotta laugh. Dove says you gotta laugh. It's just I just love that. I just love that gentleness, and then patience, waiting and patience and love, you know, and it's all perfect. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. And thank you, Sharon. And thank you, everyone who shared. Our time is about up. I'm just was thinking about, you know, as you were speaking, Sharon and Karen, about Helen Keller. And if anybody knows the story of Helen Keller, she was born and she was perfectly fine, and then she got, I think, scarlet fever or something, and she as a baby, as an infant, she became totally deaf and totally blind. So she could not see and she could not hear, so she couldn't speak, she couldn't understand. There was no language for her, there was no communication for her. She didn't know, you know, anything about the world other than what she could sense, and she had no words for it because she didn't have language before she lost her vision and her hearing. And so then came along this teacher, Annie Sullivan, who sat with her and over and over and over would sign the word for water into her hand and then touch water, show her this is water. And over and over, of course, we saw the movie with Patty Duke, which was really amazing when I was a little kid. Over and over and over, this woman would teach her this same word until suddenly one day she got it. She got that what this was happening was telling her what this was. And from then on, she was able to learn more and more and more and more. And Helen Keller, in her adult life, she went to university, she got degrees, she was a great speaker, she was a great teacher, she became a truly, truly beautiful example of what coming from a place where you are deaf, dumb, and blind to becoming fully evolved can happen if you have a gentle teacher who is willing to sign the words into your hand over and over and over until you get it. So that's what we are. And this is where we've come from. And this is what's happened with us. And I'm so grateful that, you know, you guys are my teachers here too. And Rico, please, I'd love to hear what you have to say, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, everybody. This is a sidebar comment. It's not about the paragraph, just about my experience with you that many years ago, many years ago, I used to follow these two guys around. The name was Joe and Charlie. And they used to have a thing called The Big Book Comes Alive. And I've studied that book for many years and helped a lot of people. The way you guys unpack these paragraphs for me is like ACM comes alive. I mean, some of your shares are very different, but you just unpack it based on your experience, and it just clarifies so much for me. I have no way other than tell you how much I love and appreciate you, but the impact that you guys shares have on me when I'm really listening and I'm there in that famous moment that doves love, which is now, right here, right now. I could never unpack this literature like that on my own. So I so deeply appreciate everything you guys share. It's having such a, not just a beautiful and positive effect on me, but it's allowing me to live like this instead of just read like this. So I just need to tell you, thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rico. And yes, and every single one of us have, I mean, we all came from the same place. we all came from the same place, and we've all had each other as our teachers and came together because we're willing. And you came because you were willing, and you wanted to be a part of this. And you've become a pillar of our society. So I'm so grateful for you,
Yeah,
Rico.
you're beautiful, Rico. Just beautiful.
Oh, I
Gorgeous
love
group of
you.
people. I just love you.
Yep. And welcome, Carrie. I'm so glad you came in.
And I
I
just
am
want to
too.
say, Glorian looks pretty in pink today.
You
Yes.
do, Gloria. You look so pretty. She's
Thank
such a beauty. I love her. All right, I got to go. See everybody. Thank you for a beautiful
Good
morning.
day, Sharon.
Thank you
Gloria
all. Thank
always
you.
looks
Love
pretty.
you.
Love you guys.
Okay, what color she got on?
What's that?
I say Glorian always looks pretty. Doesn't matter what color she has on.
I know she does. She's just a love. I know. All
She is a
right.
love.
And so is Vishnu too. I love him. All right, I got to go. Bye.